Everything is fine and growth will continue. The Fed raises interest rates in a time where the economy begins to slow down. And that specific time is right before the next presidential election. The bubble bursts, and the next president has to deal with the aftermath. If this sounds crazy to you right now, let's put the theory to the test.
I do believe in the American dream. I believe there is such a thing as the American dream. Owning a home is a part of that dream. It just is. Right here in America, if you own your own home, you're realizing the American dream.
The asset this time was houses. The Federal Reserve had cut interest rates from 6% in 2001 to 1% in 2003. Rock-bottom interest rates created a huge demand for mortgages, as they were cheaper to pay off. Everybody wanted a house, and that pushed prices up. You could get rich just by becoming a homeowner, as the price kept going up. Soon, even people who could not afford to make a down payment or could not provide proof of a steady income and collateral were given loans to purchase new homes. If these people defaulted on their payments, the bankers didn't care. They would be left with a house, an asset that was rising in price. These no down payment, no collateral mortgage loans, called subprime mortgages, were given to millions of low-income families.
One of the barriers to homeownership is the inability to make a down payment. And if one of the goals is to increase homeownership, it makes sense to help people pay that down payment.
Now, the bankers had a brilliant idea. Bundle up the normal mortgages with the subprime ones and sell them to other banks, pension funds, hedge funds, and sovereign funds. Mortgage payments generated huge profits, and demand was high for this new type of speculative contract, now called collateralized debt obligations, or CDOs. This created the housing bubble.
Ben, there's been a lot of talk about a housing bubble, particularly, from the Fed, from all sorts of different places. Can you give us your view as to whether or not there is a housing bubble out there?
Well, unquestionably, housing prices are up quite a bit. I think it's important to note that fundamentals are also very strong. We've got a growing economy, jobs, incomes. We've got very low mortgage rates.
The experts appeared all over mainstream news, assuring everyone that housing was not a bubble.
Wealth has risen dramatically. The United States economy has never been in better shape. There is no tax increase coming in the next couple of years. Monetary policy is spectacular.
The Federal Reserve now started to increase interest rates. By 2007, the interest rates had reached 5.25%, and many families with subprime mortgages could not afford to make the monthly payments, and their homes were foreclosed. As more and more houses went up for sale, the prices started dropping. Consumption plummeted. A new crisis had begun, and it would reach its peak in fall 2008, right before the elections. House prices tanked. Banks and other investment funds found that their bulletproof, high-profit CDOs became worthless. No one wanted to buy CDOs or houses anymore. It was a financial bloodbath. The banking giant, Lehman Brothers, had bet on mortgages and was left holding assets nobody wanted anymore. On the 15th of September, it filed for bankruptcy. During November 2008, Americans lost more than a quarter of their collective net worth. U.S. stocks were down by 45% from its 2007 high. Housing prices had dropped 20% from their 2006 peak. Total U.S. household wealth went down by $14 trillion. Through the banking giant Citicorp, Bank of America, J.P. Morgan, and Goldman Sachs, the big traders of CDOs, the crisis had spread to the world. And now, stocks and property values plummeted everywhere. The economy of the world entered a deep recession. All this happened as our nation was preparing to choose its 44th president. The housing bubble burst 2 months before the election. So how does our theory stand? We had a new housing and subprime mortgage bubble created by low interest rates. Many Americans thought housing was a secure investment. The banks gambled huge sums of money on CDOs. The experts, again, said everything was fine. The economy started to weaken in late 2007 as the Fed was increasing the interest rates. The bubble violently burst just as Americans were preparing to vote for the 44th president of the United States. Everything that happened in 2000 happened again in 2008. The bubble burst in the year of the elections. Only this time, it was bigger, and the damage was global and massive. The theory is proven correct again. There's an election coming this November. Will there be another economic crisis? Let's go through our checklist again. In December 2015, the